Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at VeChain. Before we jump into the price action though, I'd just like to say thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the content, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and why not leave us some feedback down below in the comment section. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Once you're in the general chat area, just mention member of staff. We'll be happy to help you out with anything you may need. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff here. So we were talking the last time we visited VET, we were talking about a couple of options, and effectively we were talking about. Let's have a look. So we're talking about a few things. We were talking about the potential we could be looking for a diagonal to end this off, where this becomes an A, B, and a C, and that was looking for the potential to actually have a fourth wave as a zigzag. For the most part, this is possible, and we can argue we are starting to break down from here. Effectively, if this is the case, we wouldn't be expecting to come back up here past this 2663. So this would be looking at the potential to actually start to break down and look for that lower low. And what we'd be looking for within this would effectively be looking to form five-wave structure. So we're going to go over the sort of the subwaves within a second, but what we'd want to start to see here is effectively forming some five-wave structure to the downside, something like this, followed by a three-wave move to the upside, and then additionally another five-wave move as a zigzag. So that would be what we'd be looking to target, looking to actually progress as within this count. So this is sort of what we're keeping an eye on. If we do start to break down too deep here, then that would be the most likely scenario, and would be more likely we're actually going to come back down here and look to take out this 01533. However, for as long as we hold some of these key support zones, so this obviously this red line, this low, as well as this green box area here, this 2026 to this 1761, we do have some potentially bullish options. So we're going to go over those now. So what we will be looking for within this, um, we talked about, I'll go over that one next, but effectively we will talk about the possibility about this actually completing into this point here, and that we could be looking for a flat correction to the downside. For the most part, this is still possible, but we do have a little bit of overlap within this current structure. So because if we look at this as a five-wave move here, effectively this high point here comes and actually encroaches into this wave one position. So the only way that this can work is either as a diagonal, or alternatively we would have to just look at this in different structure, where this is a W, X, and Y, where we'd be looking for either the Y wave to complete here, or alternatively, it's still playing out, where we actually look for this move to become an A, a B, and a C to the downside. So we're going to go over those sort of micro counts towards the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned. So the other way we were looking at it was that we could potentially argue that we were looking for that diagonal, but we look at this as a five-wave structure, where we count this as 1, 2, 3 into this high point of fourth, and then we'd have to count this like this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the only way that it would fit. We can't count it as a diagonal um, any other way. We can't look at this as a fourth wave for a diagonal because it's actually too big. It's bigger than the wave 2. So this can't be a diagonal in this sense unless it was expanding. But then in that case, the wave 3 is too short. So there's something going on here. It's not very clear. The important thing to see is how we manage to hold these support zones. So this 2215 would be an important area if we are looking for the potential to extend up here. Alternatively, we can argue that we are looking for this deeper move, and whether this, because like we said, we could look at this potentially either as a ABC to the downside, or potentially we could be looking. So if we're looking for a C wave, we could actually extend out here and have a deeper C wave, potentially back down into this fourth wave area. So this is something that is still viable. We need to just see how these waves play out. The problem is if we start to break down too deep with a five-wave move, we also have to be careful that we don't get, like I said, that scenario where we actually look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We come back up, get rejected, and actually look to break down again. So it's all sort of it's relying on what happens after the moves when we get them, pretty much. So within this structure, what we'd be looking for is either, like I said, we could complete here, in which the case this is the support box. But if we complete it higher here, that does move the support box up a little bit, and effectively that would be looking for 50% retracement would actually be here to this 02103. The lower range would be the 786, which would be this 1778. So we can see that the 618, 605 area, that golden pocket area, is also quite an interesting zone here, where it would actually be a retest of this area if we do come back down into this area. There's also the previous fourth wave. So if we're looking at the count like this, so this could be something interesting if we do get a deeper retracement here. It is possible we could come back into the zone and retest it. My preferred count is to actually think that either we've completed here or we are looking for this retracement for a 2 from here, where we're actually going to get some more complex structure and form something like this, potentially another connector wave here, and then have a 5-wave move to the downside. That's my sort of preferred count within this. However, it is possible, like I said, we could actually have that bigger, deeper move within this that we just don't have the correct structure for yet to analyze. So basically, with this high, what I'm looking at, actually, let me go back to the extension because I didn't explain this one. So we were also talking about the possibility of having a bigger extension here, because there is a way of counting this as a 5-wave movement to here. And then we could argue that we actually complete into here with another 5-wave move. And then we're actually looking for this wave 2 to the downside. So the wave 2 support zone would be this 2218 to this 0263. 2063 area. So, this is something that can still play out. This would be indicating that we have a bigger move to the upside here, which would be looking for this to potentially become a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially up to this zone. Confirmation, though, would only really come at this 2, 3, 2, 2, 4, and we'd have to overcome this high point here and additionally this one here. So these are some areas that are quite key within this structure. You'd have to break through these zones and then actually look to push up into these higher ranges. So the orange count would only actually be confirmed by pushing up past this 3451, and then we'd be looking for an additional fifth wave to the upside. Depending on exactly where this comes in, we can work out this fifth wave target zone better. I can put it on now, but if this green wave extends a bit, then it just throws it out, so it's not really worth it. Okay, so just wanted to go over those sort of bigger term potentials that we're looking at here. So now we have two options. We can either, like I said, treat this as an A, potentially looking for this B wave to the upside. So this B wave rejection zone would actually come here. So I'm going to just come down into smaller time frames here. So because of this overlap, we can't really look at this as a 5-wave move. I was initially counting it like this. The only way it can be is if we have a diagonal where we would be counting this then potentially as a 4th wave, and then we'd be looking for a 5th wave. But if that was the case, effectively that wave 3 would have to be longer. Sorry, the wave 5 would have to be longer than wave 3 because it would have to be an expanding diagonal, and that wave 3 would have to move past this 2068, and it would have to do so in a 5-wave structure. So that is something that we are going to have to keep an eye out. If we do actually look to break down into this zone, that could be something that plays out. And then what we could have is actually just a bigger 5-wave structure here, where the thing is, if this is a leading diagonal, because only leading diagonals can have 5-wave structure, what we'd then have to argue is that we could be setting up either for a B, and a C, or alternatively, this could become a 1, 2, and then look for that bigger third wave to the downside. So these are all possibilities at the moment, but until we actually push down to these zones, we don't have any confirmation of it. The 1-to-1 off of the 50% zone would be this area here of this 2107. So that's just looking at this as a corrective move, where we're looking at this as a wave, this is a B wave, and then this is a C wave to the downside. So this is basically what I'm keeping an eye on here. If we do move up higher, the 1-to-1 of this move internally here is actually looking at about this 02492. If, however, we do start to break up past this 1618 area, we can potentially argue that we are starting to extend to the upside here. And then what we'd be looking for is the potential that we could then count this as a 5-wave structure. But looking at the current moves here, the only way this would make sense is if we had 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we'd actually start to look to progress up here. So if you start to sell off and start taking out these low points here, and lose this 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 6, effectively then I'd be looking for that lower low and potentially looking to come down here towards this 2120 to this towards this 2107. Okay, so that's just looking at this correctively. The other way we can look at it is that we have a potential, um, where is it? Breakdown. That's the one. So because of this overlap, we can also argue that we can count this from here, where we get this as a 1, 2. So if we have that diagonal situation where we actually complete into this high point here, um, then it is possible that we could actually only start with 5-wave move from this position. It's not my favorite count looking at it as a diagonal because this 5th wave would have been very short. And yeah, it's not my preferred count. So at the moment, I'm still counting this as a 5-wave move with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5 to the downside. This is a B, and then potentially this is either a C wave or a 1, 2. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 2. And the rejection zone for this would actually come by crossing what would be this area here, this 2571 all the way to this 2461. For as long as we stay below this high point here, this 2656, we need to be aware we can extend to the downside. And what we'd be looking for is further confirmation by actually starting to break down. Like I said, we can either look at this just as an ABC, but if this move to the downside starts to get some steam here and starts to break down deeper, um, what we could see if we move down towards this 1909 in a much more sort of violent third wave would potentially be this this third wave, and which would be looking for this target of this 1909. If we do move down there, we could effectively have an end target for this green count towards this zone of this 1786 to this 1855. So this is something that could play out, but it would actually take us into this box area. So if we are looking at the possibility of having this as a flat, this could mean that we just have an extended C wave within this flat, and then we could actually look for that progression to the upside again, or alternatively, like I said, this could then become an additional 4th and 5th wave here, and then we actually look to break down deeper. This could then form an A wave. We come back up for a B wave, retest some of these zones, and then look for further rejection and to take this low. So it's going to be quite important what happens off the back of this. There is still potential that this as a wave 2 could come up higher here. What we'd be looking for is effectively, if we're on the shortest term, whether we hold this zone here of this 02386, and the lowest we want to really come is this 2352. If we start to break down here, it becomes likely we're going to cross this 0227. If we do, however, maintain this position, effectively what we can argue is that we could still be looking to extend up here one more time. Whether this becomes an A, we come back for a B and a C. Or alternatively, we could argue if we move up high enough, we could look for some 5-wave structure here to the upside. And what they would be looking at is effectively, if we do, like I said, the structure here is not great for an impulse at the moment. The only way it would, if this starts to move up here, and then we would be looking for that target zone, that 1618, this 2596. If we do move past that, then we can start to argue that we could potentially have a 5-wave structure here, though we'd have to wait for confirmation of that 4th and 5th. If we do get that, then it could actually be indicating that we're going to start to move up again. We'd be looking for a 3-wave move off the back of this, looking to retest some of these zones, and then looking to progress to the upside. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. It's sort of in that sweet spot where it can kind of go either way. And yeah, we just need to give it a bit of space here and see what happens. The alternative, yeah, we've done the corrective. Yeah, so effectively that's what we're looking at now. It's important here whether we actually manage to maintain this high. If we do break past it again, then we could look for that extension that we were talking about, where potentially we look at this as a corrective structure here. I would be expecting it to come down deeper. Um, but perhaps if we have another push down, that could bring us right into the zone of this 2218 to this 2063. And then we could potentially look for this move to the upside. Though we'd have to be careful how we come down here, because if we do start to meet some of those other requirements and we start to lose this zone here of this 1955, it becomes less likely. And either we've completed into this high, we're looking for that retracement, or alternatively, we are looking to actually start to break down, where this move here becomes the first part of a bigger five-wave structure. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. We'll keep you up to date once we get a bit more confirmation from the waves. Until then, keep an eye on those support zones and those resistance zones. Go back in the video and have a look at the different scenarios. You can sort of plot out some key areas on your charts and then have a look at that from there. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next video. Take care out there.